We are live.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Welcome to another kitchen sink microscopy. A live one in your face. We just recorded a lightning strikes twice with two seemingly unrelated topics that we've actually thought of a way to tie them together.
Yep.
Because that's what we're good at.
We are very good at that.
We're not good at much, but at least we can make two seemingly unrelated things be related. So
yes,
whatever that's good for, we're good at it.
We're professional dot connectors.
So you had mentioned democracy kind of sucks.
Yep.
And then I brought up the long COVID cure of a nicotine patch, which I am currently trying. It's also good for brain fog in general, apparently. And 3 days in, I'm actually feeling quite a bit more clear and energetic. And then we thought, well, really, the only hindrance to that actually becoming fully researched and stuff is politics.
Pretty much, yep.
So it is related. How about that? Democracy sucks.
Yep. Oh yeah. Well, because that's kind of what I brought up is a nicotine patch. Other than maybe the form factor, you can't patent that. You can't patent nicotine, and so, well, the companies, of course, if this is in fact some kind of a treatment that's effective, they have an interest in not letting that become too known about, and so they use it's a corporatocracy, of course, so they use their sway within government to kind of put a kibosh on that.
The bullshit of it is there's no alternative treatment.
Exactly. Well, maybe somebody's working on it, and they're like, oh, if this actually even kind of works, we can't let that out, because if it kind of works, it's better than, it's good enough. So maybe I could definitely see, and I could see that being a thing. I think that's been a thing throughout history, that if there's an easy solution that's effectively free, well, the companies and governments collude to kind of sweep it under the rug, so people don't, or they maybe make it kind of dismiss it, essentially, like, oh, that's quackery or something. That's right. Like, well, I mean, but it kind of isn't. If you look at nicotine and its interaction with the brain, it isn't quackery. Like, there is actually a possible, like, it could work.
Yeah, the nicotinic acetylcholine receptors that long COVID also binds to. And actually, as a side, as a biologist, I should explain to people that, yes, we have nicotine receptors in the body that are named for that, because there's other things that nicotine does, it like, it's actually kind of like a biological necessity, that hence the freaking receptors, anyway, without getting too overcomplicated.
Isn't B6,
there's other
isn't
things
vitamin B6 based on that molecule? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just talking out my ass.
You might be right.
Yeah.
Or kind of like a metabolite or something.
Yeah.
But there are other possible indications that such a treatment could help with, because things like neurodermatitis, atopic eczema is another word for that, is linked to these nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. Like, I keep saying the long word because the abbreviation they use is knackers, and that sounds a little
rude,
like something else.
Yeah.
So it's not that I don't like knackers, I just don't want to say knackers.
That totally makes sense. Well, it could also be knickers.
Demonetized.
Too. What? It could be knickers too,
Oh,
the like British name for pants or
oh,
underwear.
thought you said something else.
Oh no, no. Oh yeah. This compression really is a bitch, isn't it? Oh man.
Double demonetized.
Yep. All right. I'd like to see how the auto uh, captions interpret that. Well, and
I keep up. I'm not good.
oh man, it, I because see, I'm suspicious of the corporatocracy, and
Good reason.
well, yeah, because and you know my kind of we didn't really have a chance to get into it that much when I said like democracy kind of sucks, um, but it kind of does. We kind of went into like there really isn't that we haven't crafted a better system per se, but it also sucks. It's like it all sucks. Um, and you know, you get these people in there. It's a revolving door kind of system, like with the big business and banking and da 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 and politics, and everybody's all circle jerking, and they're doing it for themselves, and they're not doing it to benefit the people. So, like every bill, every piece of legislation, every Supreme Court case, whatever it might be, all of them, the angle leans more towards benefiting the elites and benefiting the government rather than benefiting the people.
Yeah.
And you know, if you have something simple, like say, oh, well, you just wear a nicotine patch and you know, it kind of fixes it. Um, they're not going to want that to get out there because they can't patent it. Nobody can make a massive profit off of it. No, because it's like, well, yeah, nicotine patches. You could buy a box of them for like $30 or something like that. They're cheap, and a cheap solution isn't one that can a bunch of money can be made on.
Right.
So they have an interest in kind of diminishing that until they can come up with something else, which I you can bet your ass if there is a long COVID drug treatment, it's going to have a litany of side effects.
Right.
All kinds of, you know, you know how it is, like, oh, and thoughts of suicide and da da da. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Yeah.
Well,
Like,
that's why I'm saying it's a bunch of bullshit in this case because this is a relatively new phenomenon that at least has been now, defined with a
yeah.
name, long
Yeah.
COVID. I think it's been around longer, of course, but,
Mm-hmm.
and it isn't just relegated to COVID, of course, but,
Mm-hmm.
like a whole myriad of different things, like
Oh,
chemotherapy included,
yeah.
um,
Yeah. Exactly.
which is where it kind of started with me. But, um, like the bullshit part about it is that there is no alternative, and there's not really anything in the pipelines because like it's also so ill defined
Mm-hmm.
that like it's not really an indication on the radar for uh therapeutic research in at least in any large part.
Mm-hmm.
And so like why squash, you know like like they're not really like it's more of a soft squashing. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
just using like the propaganda,
Yep.
like being like, oh, this is linked to smoking, though it might make you addicted to smoking. It's like, what? I wasn't smoking for the last 20 plus years. I'm not gonna get a little bit of nicotine in my system and be like, now I gotta go buy a pack of smokes.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly. I
I have
well,
I have willpower. I don't like the disgusting taste or smell of like acrid smoke being like clung to everything in my surroundings.
yep.
Like why would all of a sudden nicotine be the thing that makes me say, you know what, I'd really like to smell like smoke.
I know. Well, you and I both have a similar sort of evolution in that regard, because you know I quit smoking about 20ish years, well, like full on maybe 15 years ago, um, and like I switched to vaping. For a while. I had snooze and dip and stuff, but that's kind of messy.
Mm.
Uh, and but vaping's perfectly fine. I'm fine with that. It's like it's kind of a fun thing to do. Doesn't cause a lot of harm. I mean, it's just nicotine. Like it's similar to caffeine, so it isn't really like on its own harmful. But there was one time a friend of mine had cigarettes, and we were out in the fire pit, and it was summer night, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll have a cigarette. And I smoked a cigarette, and I only went through like half of it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh God, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
How did I spend like a decade or whatever smoking these things? This is
I
ugh.
can't believe we used to live like this.
Yeah. So it's like that was the thing. I broke ties with my smoking habit, and I tried it again after a while, and it sucked. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, good thing I got vapes.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah. The only time I would ever really have a cigarette is if I was like blind drunk,
yeah,
out with
yeah,
buddies or something.
yep, exactly.
And then the next day I would fucking regret it. I'd be like, oh,
Yep.
like,
And then you're like, God, I smell like ass. Jeez, gross.
swallow astroturf. Like,
Oh man.
yeah. And so I, I'm like 3 days in. I feel so much more energy, like more than I have in the last 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, and, of course, like part of what spurred me to do this is I've been trying to learn German for over 3 years now. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm making progress, but it's much slower than it should be. Like I know my brain. Like
Mm-hmm. It
over
should
my
be able
whole
to
life,
wrap itself
yeah,
around.
over my whole life, I've usually learned things rather quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And this, for whatever reason, like, yes, I'm older, there's other stresses and factors and stuff in life that might be contributing to it, but like I'm at a good enough position in my life where it shouldn't be so hard,
Mm-hmm.
actually. And the only thing I can think of is like my inability to really focus, to draw words at my command from the plethora of vocabulary and vernacular in multiple different languages now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, I know the ability is there, it's just hindered by something. So I was like,
Yeah.
you know what, fuck it, what do I have to lose? Like $20.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and
Yeah.
and this is the thing that I had brought up kind of when we were talking about it. If they did do that, there'd be all kinds of potential side effects that are much worse than
Yeah.
the thing you're trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, nicotine's pretty benign. It isn't. It's like caffeine. It sure, yeah, you can become addicted to it, but so what? There are
Yeah.
people like chemically speaking, the two molecules are very similar as far as like what they do in your body, um, or like the potential harm, and there really isn't any. I
I
guess if
mean,
you
there are side effects, of
really,
course. Like,
really consumed a lot,
like
right?
you can get headaches, you can get like
Yeah.
spikes in blood sugar and stuff. Like if you're diabetic, you probably shouldn't try the nicotine patch because
Mm,
it interferes with insulin levels and stuff. But it's overall, like, especially with the way I'm doing it is like using like the last step of the quitting program, the lowest dose,
oh yeah, yeah.
7 milligrams or whatever, and just
Mm,
I'm gonna do it for 2 to 4 weeks. I'll probably do the whole 4 weeks just
mm,
because like I went through fucking cancer and I've been having
yeah.
this problem since before it had a name.
Yeah, you got double whammy right there.
Yeah. Um, and I think it did get worse after COVID, actually,
Hmm.
because like I was able to function. I got through fucking university, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and and uh, and now it's just like I can't learn German to the level of satisfaction I'm used to. It's
Well, it makes sense. Well, yeah, and to keep going back to government, the if if the government uh was our benefactor and had our best interest in mind, they'd be talking about this and funding studies and stuff because it's like, hey, this might help a lot of people who are in a pretty shitty situation.
Hmm.
And but they're not. And you can bet your ass if like if it becomes popular, they're gonna spew a bunch of propaganda to demonize people who are investigating this. And it's like we shouldn't have to investigate this ourselves, right?
Right.
Like where's all that tax money going? It should
Yeah.
be I I don't like the idea of paying taxes, but if I'm forced to pay taxes, I want the taxes to do good, to benefit humanity, to benefit my country, the people around me, and myself too. I want to be able to, I don't know, draw on some of that.
Yeah.
But it isn't like that. Jesus, the point, a turning point for me was when you and I were running the printer repair company. And I think we were drawing maybe $30 a week from it. So I was making $30 a week to the point where my friend, she was like really worried about me. She's like, you're eating a lot of top ramen. I was like, that's all I can afford. And so she went to like a food bank and grabbed a bunch of shit and brought it to my house. Um, and I thought, okay, well, I'm paying into this system. Why don't I try and utilize it? Like it's supposed to help people, right? So I went to like the state, wherever, I can't remember. It's been a long time, but I applied for food stamps, for food aid, and I got
Yeah.
laughed at. Yeah, yeah, and I got laughed at. They laughed at me. Literally, two ladies laughed at me, and they're like, "You're running a business and you're applying for food aid. Well, you probably, like you better run the business better or something." I'm like, "Really? What? Y'all are a bunch of assholes, man."
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, they're not wrong. We
Well,
probably shouldn't have been in business
but we made
with
it
that
work. We ultimately
little of an
did.
income.
We ultimately did, and we kicked ass for how we started it. We absolutely kicked ass. But
Mm,
it's like, hey, I'm paying into this system. Why can't I draw on it without
yeah.
somebody mocking me? You
Right.
know, like, hey, we're in the early days. You know how businesses work. Like the first year is hell. And so, and at that point, that was kind of where I was like, all right, fuck this shit. And like, if you want to make an anarchist, that's how you make an anarchist.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck this shit. These guys,
Yeah.
and then
I
then I
learned
started
all
seeing
too
it.
well about all these little bureaucratic loopholes that you get caught in if you're poor, but not poor enough.
Yep,
And it's
exactly.
like, okay, so like I was in a similar situation where because of the cancer, I was on like a long-term disability and I could only make like $700 a month. Otherwise they would take away my social security. Like like gone. Like so I can make $700 and get my 1100 at the time. I think it was 1100. But as soon as I make 701, then I'm just making 701. So you go from like 1800 a month to 701 with what?
That is kind of bullshit. There should be like a broader threshold, I think,
Or a
to where you,
scale,
yeah,
like
yeah, to where
like
you can kind of get ahead a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
we are paying into Social Security too. Keep in mind, this isn't like some kind of, I don't know, like pool of money that came out of fell off of trees or something. Like they're extorting it from us while we work. Like we ought to be able to draw upon it when we need it.
Hmm.
And oh yeah, oh Jesus, that shit, man.
I mean, like in the end, I I had like a very uh so I had a very long and drawn out drama with Social Security because they also eventually just decided that I wasn't disabled anymore. Like oh, the cancer treatments that totally fried your nerves. Eh, you're not disabled anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, you're all good.
That permanent damage, that's like yeah, that was still 5 years ago.
That's
And they
so
just
yesterday.
yanked it away, and I appealed it for a long time, and when you appeal, you get to keep your payments as long as it's being appealed and stuff, and like they would take several months to just deny each appeal, and I would appeal it again. And they take several months to deny it again. And then at the end, like, I had done everything I could and there were no more appeals. And so I just lost it. And they were like, and now you got to pay back all the stuff since we originally decided that you weren't disabled anymore. And it was like $25,000.
Oh my
And I
God.
was just like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm just going bankrupt. And they got nothing.
Well,
None of
good.
that.
Good on you for doing that.
Like,
But the thing is,
I still have like not so great credit, but it's worth it. In fact, it's
absolutely
super
worth
worth it because US credit means jack shit here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you for sure, if the tables were turned, if it were the opposite way, like getting them to repay you for their mistakes would be like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
Like good luck with that. Um,
And for
it,
the longest time, I thought you couldn't go bankrupt on government debt, but you
I
can.
you can, yeah. Student
That
loans.
was an effective propaganda scheme.
Well, yes, the student loans are basically the only thing that you're kind of
Yeah.
stuck with. Um, if, all of it's bullshit, man. Like it's almost like they take so much from us. Like I'm taking my life, my time in this universe on this planet, and I'm doing work and I'm getting compensated for it. And they're taking a whole bunch of that. Like I've calculated basically like in an 8-hour day in tax, like the government is taking at least a third of that in tax, no matter what, one way or another, maybe more depending on where you live. And so it's very frustrating when they're taking all this money and you don't get any real benefit. Like I'm paying a shit ton of money in gas tax and tabs and all this stuff, which presumably, on paper is supposed to go to road maintenance and things like that. And I can't drive across Tacoma without almost breaking my axle, hitting potholes, rough roads, and stuff like that. And there's places that are even worse. But like, at the very least, can we not have roads that don't have a bunch of potholes in them? Can we have reasonable, like,
Yeah.
so that I feel like the money that is being extorted from me is actually going somewhere? But I don't see that. It's like there's a whole bunch of cronyism and shit, and it's a big like old boys club essentially, or girls. I mean, boys and girls in that case. But like
The
it's like
oligarchy.
yeah, it's an oligarchy. Yeah, like the ivory tower. They're completely separate, and they're not beholden to the people because the people don't hold them to account, which they should. Like, hey, you said you were going to do this thing, and
How
you
would you?
didn't.
You know,
It's a good
vote them
question.
out.
Well,
Can't vote out a CEO.
well, exactly, and because that's the thing, it's like it's all intertwined. It's a corporatocracy, like
Yeah.
like. I mean, if obviously you can not buy something from a company, but there's companies that do things that you're not like buying things from per se. Like for instance, Tacoma Public Utilities. It's a company. It's almost like a city sanctioned monopoly. So they have a monopoly on utilities within the Tacoma area. And so it's like I can't do anything about TPU specifically. I can like appeal to people in the government or whatever, but they're not going to do anything about it. They're not going to listen to my complaints. They're going to be like, well, whatever, oh, I don't know, here's a form to fill out or something and we'll get around to it eventually. But like I'm forced, because there are no other options, I'm forced to pay this company if I want electricity and sewer and water and garbage pickup and all that stuff. And
You see, if we find wherever they stored Tesla's notebooks, and
mm-hmm.
we can recreate this like beaming energy wirelessly thing.
Oh, like the Wardenclyffe project. Yeah.
We
Yep.
can like we can basically circumvent the whole monopoly on
Hmm.
energy that way by
Yeah.
creating a private company that provides energy to households because
Hmm.
you're not beholden to the fucking wires they're going through, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's something that I love. And, people have their beef with Elon Musk, but um, Starlink is a really good thing because it gives you an option other than a terrestrial one. Because, like, in a lot of areas, Comcast is it. Like, that's it. That's the only, like, they're a state or city sanctioned monopoly. Nobody else can get in. You have to apply, and they're going to be like, well, no, because Comcast. But now you have the option of saying, like, well, fuck Comcast. I'm going to use Starlink. It's a lot more money, but it's not Comcast. you know, like that's. I always said I would rather have no internet than be forced to have Comcast. I can't stand them.
Yeah.
Uh, not because of any like particular person or anything, but because the company practices are kind of bullshit. Um,
Well, they're expensive. It's not even that good of a service.
and then try to cancel.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's like canceling. What was that site? The dating site that you had signed up for and tried to cancel, and the only way was through the chat
Oh,
thing.
I forget. That was a long time ago.
It wasn't
eHarmony?
Match. It was something
eHarmony, maybe?
eHarmony. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting there and you were like chatting and they were responding through the chat. And then he said, "Yeah, I'd like to cancel my service." And immediately they're like, "Hello, are you there?" Like just playing dead, essentially.
Some things never change. Shit is still
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but
It's even
yeah,
worse.
as far as like what could we do instead of a democracy that would afford us things like novel cures with cheap and simple avenues to like a happy and healthy life, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what could actually possibly afford us that. And I think we talked a bit about like balkanization
Yeah.
and like on a very fractional level, like just letting communities build their own, local structure of
Mm-hmm.
governance of whatever kind they see fit, or
Yeah.
like fits that community or neighborhood or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a bunch of small kingdoms
I
basically.
yeah, and I don't think that would be a bad thing. Almost like little tribes or something like that. Um, well, because local is a lot more efficient,
Yeah.
and it's the scale of it is something you can participate in and connect with. It's like, oh yeah, the person who's kind of like the big cheese, they live right next door or across the street. They're
Yeah.
here. You can like go and talk to them and stuff
And the
like
more
that.
friendly you are with your neighboring governments or whatever,
Yeah.
the more strong you are against other, like coalitions of nasty governments or whatever. So like, yeah,
Mhm.
you would kind of have like a natural defense built against like war without needing standing militaries and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. No, yeah, like you just like a militia or something like that would be sufficient for defensive purposes.
yeah,
Um, and it's kind of like
I don't even know if
it,
we would need that at this point.
I, it depends. Obviously, there's some bad actors throughout the world, so probably. And it's
But
fun.
their power is afforded to them through the arm of the government,
Yeah,
like
yeah. Well, and
um
and if you think about it, because I've had many a discussion with friends about anarchist societies and tribes and things like that, and like how that would work. And one of the great things about a balkanized, like distributed society is there's no one uh, like linchpin, essentially, no pivoting point that you can take control of and control it all. Like in the US, for instance, well, if somebody, I don't know, another country, let's say Canada, right? They're like, oh, we're going to take over the US. So all they'd have to do that is to take over DC, which isn't even a state.
Yeah.
But if they take over DC, then now they control, they have, that's the helm of the country in essence. Um, but if that doesn't exist, then, well, good luck trying, Canada trying to take over the US, because there's no reins you can grab a hold of, because it's all over the place.
Hmm.
And so it's kind of a very defensible structure, I think, in that case, and very stable. If there is to be some kind of federal system, I mean, I've brought this up before probably, but the only thing it needs to do is keep the peace. Just basically, organize in times of need, whether it be a military assault or whether it be a natural disaster, some kind of crisis or whatever. Like, oh, we do need a little bit of coordination so everybody can know what everybody else is doing. It makes sense. It's totally hierarchies make sense, even in an anarchist world. And also settling disputes. So if someone's like, oh, you did me wrong or whatever, then you can have an arbiter, like a third party, disinterested third party that can listen to both sides and be like, okay, well, you're the one that has been transgressed upon, and you're the one who's done the transgressing. So here you go. That's it. That's all we need. We don't need anything else beyond that.
Yeah. And if you think about it, that is on a very small scale, just democracy. An arbiter is just a tiebreaker.
Yeah,
two people can't agree on something. One person comes in and picks who's a winner.
Yeah, but I'd like to see it more on a case by case, kind of like you have a process or an organization or a group of people whose job it is to just do that, but they don't do anything unless there's a thing to do. That's the key. That is the key, because government, when there's not a thing to do, they're going to find something to do, and it definitely won't be something good for you or I. They're going to be, they're twiddling their thumbs and they're like, whoa, what, pinky in the brain, like what are we going to do today?
If there's time to smoke, we're going broke.
Oh man, good times. Well, I also wanted to bring up something too, because kind of connecting back to the nicotine patch thing. A friend of mine has OCD, like hardcore OCD, and if people don't know what OCD, everybody has their notion of like, oh yeah, it's about clean and da da da. Not necessarily. It can be a lot of things. It's complex. But there's all these medications you can take. There's all these drugs and stuff like that, and they're super expensive and have all kinds of side effects. But my friend actually was investigating, and he found in a forum somewhere some people talking about microdosing psilocybin. So mushrooms, like magic mushrooms, basically. And a lot of people did that because you're not going to have a psychedelic experience from microdosing. You're going to have almost no experience, actually. But people in the forums were talking about their experiences, and they found that, oh yeah, this actually, this helps a lot. Like I can now manage my OCD, and they're taking a small, tiny dose every day or whatever, and yet that's something that's illegal.
Right.
Like which is like, what is mushrooms, I think, are schedule 2, right? Or are they schedule 1?
They might be Schedule 1.
So like the worst of the worst, which like LSD, marijuana, mushrooms, peyote, all that stuff.
Actually, I don't think it's addictive, so I don't think it would be
No,
Schedule 1.
no, but I think schedule 1, it's like they say, oh, there's no medical
No
function.
medical and uh like a potential for addiction.
Yeah, I think maybe it's schedule 2 then, but still, that's enough that like researchers don't want to dig into it. Um, People don't want to experiment, and that you can't be public about things because, like, oh yeah, I microdose mushrooms or whatever. It's kind of funny, actually. Me and my friend, we were going to go on an expedition to get some mushrooms, like go forage for them, because like it's not like you could go to eBay or something and buy yourself a bunch of fucking hallucinogenic mushrooms. So you got to find them. And he was kind of scared because, like, well, that is a concern, is that you, with mushrooms in particular, are really,
Some can be
if,
fatal.
yeah, if you get it wrong, and there's some that are like, ooh boy, it's really hard to tell the difference.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't have to do that. It should be something that you could just go buy. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you just go
Even
into
more than
buying this.
marijuana, yeah, like
Yeah.
mushrooms really should be actually heavily regulated, like
Mm-hmm.
for safety reasons, um, and for no other reason really. Like, uh, you know, and why don't they? Like it's the same with the whole nicotine and long COVID thing. Like it's just a stigma
Mm-hmm.
that is driving this whole push to like suppress it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that might work. We can't look into that because blah, 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 blah. Like,
Pretty
okay,
much, yeah.
we really know why you don't want to look into it. Like
Mm-hmm.
even beyond the potentials for profit. I think a lot of it has to do with stigma
It does.
and
Well,
foremost.
and we've been propagandized to for decades now,
Yeah.
like in the US, about, oh, the DARE program and blah blah blah. Drugs are bad. All drugs are bad. Like, actually, well, turns out most are not bad. In general, like, they're not automatically bad. What is bad, at least currently, this is the thing. It's like, you, if it were a commercial endeavor, right? So there, let's say all drugs were just not illegal, everything. You could just go and buy cocaine, you could buy heroin, right? Um, you would be getting a consistent product. A
Yeah.
company that manufactures a thing isn't gonna like contaminate it with random shit, because, like, well, the rule number one of business: don't kill your customer. Um, so they're going to have a consistent product. Yeah, there could be third parties that test things and verify stuff. You could have like a seal of approval or whatever. But in the absence of that, what we get is a lot of bullshittery. Things get cut with stuff, and you get
Mhm.
fentanyl right now. That's a big thing. It's like, you never know if the thing you're buying on the street is fucking loaded up with fentanyl, and it'll give you a lethal dose the first time you try it. Like,
Right.
you never know. It's a random dude, you know. It isn't
Yeah.
like a store that you walk into and buy something.
And fentanyl is medicinal.
It is.
Like
Yeah.
people think the word medicinal has something to do with safety, but it doesn't.
No.
Like there
Well,
are things that are medicinal that are completely harmless, or things that are medicinal that can fucking kill you.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
you know,
And there are still, with fentanyl and stuff, there are still medical uses that are legit.
yeah,
I mean, heroin was actually developed to be more potent than morphine, uh, in the hopes, well, misguided, of course, but in the hope that you'd take less of it and it'd be better for you, I guess,
mm-hmm.
um, for pain killing purposes. I
Yeah,
mean,
cocaine, analgesic,
yeah,
like.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think it is still used in very certain situations medically.
No, there's derivatives of cocaine that are
Yeah,
used for
yeah,
pain killing,
lidocaine and stuff. Yeah,
carbocaine, things like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, far less potent, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but I think like as far as like you could go to a doctor or a surgery or something, and they might actually use cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is still possible, just very rare.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you know, just because something is medical doesn't mean it isn't without risk, of course.
Oh yeah.
But that's not really a reason to like. If anything, that's a reason to legalize it. But instead,
I know.
we get the opposite. You know,
Well,
it's
because
just
here's my bird's eye view of the situation from my perspective. You have this corporatocracy that's sole purpose essentially is control and profit.
mhm.
Okay. And you have these drug companies that make massive profits developing and selling all these drugs to cure our ills, so to speak. So if there's a thing that they can't patent and can't control that could do mostly the same, like something of nature, right? Like cocaine or morphine or whatever. Um, well, they want to squish that down so that their product is the only option. And while a lot of these things, like obviously morphine, has side effects, it's very highly addictive, but it's highly effective. And so, so these drug companies develop these new things that they can patent and they control, and then make sure that you can't get access to the more primitive version of the thing that used to be a thing for 1,000 years. Um,
Old
oh,
rat.
hey, old rat. And
Hand that looks like it's squirting.
it might be, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that particular emoji or whatever.
Kind of turned on.
But you know, that's the problem is we have this system that's beyond our control, the average person's control. Um, and like you had said, what are you going to do? Vote them out? Which good luck with that. I I think if we're going to have a system where you vote somebody in, a vote should be an agreement, right? Like you have a politician who's running for office. They're like, hey, these are the things that I'm going to do. Here's my platform. Here's what I'm going to do. Um, and if they get into, like, they get elected and they're in office and they don't do those things, you should be able to retract your vote.
Yeah.
And then once the votes, so essentially enough people retract votes,
Like a
and then it
living
just
tally, right?
rolls over to the second place person.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, why can't it just be like a living vote in
yeah.
general? Like people can jump in and out of the race and you can move
Mm-hmm.
your vote to this person or that person
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
fucking cycle them out like
Well,
as
think about it
often
this way.
or as little as you like. You
Think
know?
about it this way. Imagine if I don't know, the political system or food was equivalent to the political system, where every 4 years or 2 years or whatever, you have to decide, like everybody decides on what fast food restaurant you're eating at. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm fucked. I have to eat at McDonald's every day for 4 years now. Like, that's stupid. That's totally stupid. Obviously, McDonald's at that point, they'd rest on their laurels and they'd kind of slack off and the food would suck. So
Yeah,
we
that's
need.
a good point what you bring up actually. That's how democracy actually like is. If we had a true democracy,
Mhm.
that's what it would be.
Yeah.
And that would actually kind of rock. Uh because
Yeah.
it's constantly keeping people at the top of their game. You know, like
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
your favor falls, you just lose your job. There shouldn't
Mhm.
be that's the problem with democracy is it's like, yeah, we vote, but then we're stuck with that choice for however many
For
years,
quite a
if
while.
not
Yeah.
indefinitely, like
Hmm.
and so like if it was just a constant rolling game, like every day, instead of waking up to check their stocks, they check their votes, like, oh shit, I better up my game.
Yeah, I'm
I want to keep
losing
my job,
popularity.
yeah.
Like, uh-oh, I better do the thing that I said I was going to do.
And
Oh,
old rat made
yep.
a comment here that I actually wanted to bring this up. He says nature provided all we need. They just want money, and that's the thing that pisses me off most. We made up money, and we're throwing everything nature requires us to have us to one side in favor of profit,
Hmm.
which is a completely made up concept.
It is. And again, like economies, there we do need a system, just like governance. There should be some kind of system to kind of manage and coordinate everything. But
If you were the only person on Earth, though,
mhm,
there would be no economy.
that's true.
Like
Yeah.
that's how I like to think of nature. Like if you are in a vacuum in whatever biosphere, like you have animals and trees and stuff, but as far as like things you can trade with or whatever, nothing, nil,
Yeah.
right? That's nature. Like whatever you have, and you have your health, right? And things that
Hmm.
affect that health, that's nature, right?
Yeah.
So why are we letting profit fucking affect that?
I know. I know. There's a book written by Erwin Schiff, How an Economy Grows and Why It Doesn't. That's my I guess my recommendation for today. You can just download it as a PDF. It's like a
Hmm.
comic book almost, kind of going off of what you said. It's like there's an island and there's one person or two people, and like it starts growing and they're figuring out how to do things. And it brilliantly illustrates how things turn to shit.
Yeah.
How, like, you used to be able to just kind of get along and trade like you did. And then more and more cooks get into the kitchen, and all of a sudden you're cooking slop. Um,
Yeah.
Great book, though.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's I highly
Yeah.
recommend that.
Yeah,
And
and I mean, I'm not like a full on hippie, when it comes to like nature, this and that, and like marijuana will fix everything, man. Like, I've got like a little bit more level head than that.
mhm,
But when it comes to priorities, let's say,
mhm.
I feel like things that nature requires of us should be a higher priority than things that we just made up out of thin air.
This is true. Yeah. Well, and
However
it
necessary they might be to get along with one another, it doesn't mean we have to get rid of it entirely. Just it needs to be a back burner thing,
well, and the thing is, human beings evolved within this ecosystem, right, on this
Yeah.
planet. So we're kind of in tune. Like everything we need is here in one form or another. And obviously we do things like refine things. We recognize, like, oh yeah, willow bark, it made my head feel better when my head
Yeah.
was hurting, and oh, let's refine that and make aspirin. um like, that's okay. But
German company, by the way.
yeah, Bayer, yep.
Yeah.
um so there are definitely answers in nature. Almost every drug that has been developed has come from some kind of natural source. That, back in the day, we'd be like, oh, that's just kind of old wives' tales or whatever. Um, well, okay, there's a reason why people have been using this particular plant or whatever for centuries for a particular problem. And when you're talking hunter gatherer societies, you can't waste energy and resources on nonsense and things
No.
that don't work. They have to work. So, yeah, that's, I guess, my thought on that particular thing. So there's definitely a lot of potential that we've ignored, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, and I do believe that nature Like there is a lot of potential, the unexplored potential, especially when it comes to things like psychedelics for mental health purposes. That I
Well, and that's the
like.
thing. Nature, like not just mushrooms, but also nicotine,
Mhm.
like this patch, like
Yeah,
that is technically like I said earlier, we have nicotinic receptors because it does a thing in the body. Like,
yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
and so we kind of evolved to work with it.
Hmm.
It comes from a plant.
Hmm. Oh
So
yeah, getting nicotine out of tobacco plants is very simple. It's a super simple process. So it's like
yeah,
you don't really need a whole factory to do that, which tells me, hmm, this is a more base level sort of thing.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you take like an organic chemistry class at your local community college, you'll learn how to extract essential oils from orange rind and stuff, like citric
Mhm.
acid or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's actually pretty straightforward. I still have my lab notebook. I could teach you how to do it. Reflux.
Nice. Oh,
Oh, I
Casey,
gotta
your mic.
move my head closer to the
Oh, there.
microphone. Yeah. I just hope my teeth don't bump it with my big
Oh yeah.
overbite.
Oh yeah. Well, and this is the problem with the current system the way it is. The this whole democratized oversight system, where a select few people decide for a lot of people what they can and can't do. Um, and because I don't, there's a point I was going to make, and I'm kind of losing it because
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
getting
I
over a
mean,
cold. I think so. Maybe
like
you
I
riff
said,
off that.
it's not all democracy because the U.S. Operates as a democratic republic, and
Yeah.
it's the republic part of things that starts to get like muddy the waters a bit on that
Mhm.
because like we aren't voting for everything. We're letting a few, like a handful of people, do all the decision making for us.
Yeah, which
And
is
then
kind of
every
bullshit if you.
4 years or so, maybe
Mhm.
two, maybe three, whatever, we get to maybe vote them out. But all that depends on like the majority having an actual understanding or even needs or cares or wants that align with yours. And they probably won't. So,
No, they won't. Well, because the system attracts people who narcissists and stuff like that. People who want to win the popularity contest, not altruistic people who want to benefit humanity and do the right thing. No, it attracts a bunch of scammers and used car salesmen and shit like that. I mean,
mm,
just look at any government, honestly, across the planet that operates this way.
yeah.
They're all a bunch of assholes. Like, not a single, maybe a few. There's a handful here and there that are like, hey, I want to do a good thing, but they're outnumbered. And then that goes back to democracy. It's like, well, you're outnumbered, you're outvoted. You can't do that thing now.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh, I I looked this up while we were talking a little while ago, whether or not there's any country in the world that will recognize a claim of sovereignty as far as like people,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
individuals, and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single one. So like it's pretty well ingrained into the idea globally
Yeah.
of government that the government needs to kind of exist in a way that it ensures its own existence continues
It is.
forevermore.
It's like, yes, it's definitely a reciprocal system.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, yeah. How so I've looked this up too. How to like legitimize your government. Well, it requires other governments to say, "Yep, they're legit." That's all it is. It's like
It's so dumb, isn't it?
it's a big
Like,
fucking circle jerk, man.
yeah.
Like, well, okay, so how do you break away from that? How, like, what if things get to a certain threshold where people have had enough and they're like, we don't want to do this anymore.
Oh, I know.
Hmm.
Just start a third party, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your whole platform is that you don't recognize the United States as a sovereign country. And
Yeah.
if enough people vote for you and you get into power, you're going to be like, we don't recognize ourselves as a sovereign country.
I
Like we're just nobody. Like just
yeah.
ignore us.
Well, I wonder what would happen. See, if I were to run for president, I'd run for president on the platform of I will do nothing. I'm just going to sit here. That's all I'm going to do. I will do nothing at all. Like you'll have 4 years of boredom. That probably wouldn't
And
fly.
honesty, because
Well,
it's
yeah,
kind of what they all do anyway.
yeah, there's a whole system underneath too that like is that operates independent of whoever's president, whoever's in Congress or Senate or whatever, all that stuff. It's a bureaucracy that will remain, and it just grows. It never changes. It doesn't have any interest in benefiting people,
Mhm.
the people, only
Oh,
itself. And
have you
it's
done your taxes yet?
no,
Holy shit, it got way more complicated.
really.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. It took me 3 days
What?
to three
I thought you were going to
days,
say 3 hours.
3 days to do my taxes.
Oh my God.
Like I was trying to save a buck and just do it on my own. And, I pull up last year's usually I kind of like look at what I did and, like compare left to right. Okay. I fill this out in this form and this form. Fuck, the stack of forms I had at the end was like so thick, and I gotta mail that shit from Germany. Like,
Oh God.
you know,
Ugh.
can't file online from here. And god damn, like Trump added so many things and took a bunch of stuff out, and so it's like completely different. And I had this form and that form, because I'm like uh, technically working for myself as well as having the foreign income and like some stocks and whatnot. And it was so goddamn complicated, so much bureaucracy. I was like, this is almost like German paperwork, like
It is. Yeah. I mean,
maybe
and
worse. Like,
it should be so simple. It should be a simple thing.
mm-hmm.
Imagine if you go to the grocery store and we have sales tax, of course, and you're in line and you get there and they ring up all your stuff and they're like, okay, well, we got a stack of paperwork you got to fill out here so you can pay sales tax. Like, what a mess that would be.
Right.
Like, I'd also like to see accountability. I want to see where that money's going. Um, like I don't like I've said I think taxes are bullshit, but we pay them. We're forced to pay them. So since that happens, they're extracting some of my life from me. That's how I see it. Is like
Mm.
every dollar I earn is a bit of my life that has been burned to do something. So if they're going to take part of my life, they're going to take years off my life. I want to see that at least it does something beneficial, right? Like,
What if we just changed our currency and made it like a customizable role playing game or something?
mm-hmm.
Like you still have your denominations, but they have like different characters and like and spells they can cast or whatever. So it's like, like this one casts a spell of charity on cancer research or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I'm spending this dollar and the tax money is going to go to cancer research, like, and you can just go to the ATM and like punch in what kind of bills you want. Like, oh, I think this week I'm going to give to the homeless, like.
Well, we've talked about that before, of like an a la carte tax system where
Mhm.
you can allocate where that money goes to, which, if you think about it, is the most democratic way to do it,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And
hey,
nowadays, like with the technology, every time that dollar gets scanned in a transaction, the tax could, like a magic card, it gets
mhm.
tapped and it does a thing, like.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like you go to a store, you go to like a pet store, and there's oh, do you want to round up to help pets
Mhm.
or something like that? Or like you go to a grocery store and they're like, oh, do you want to donate to St. Jude's or something like that? Like, that's how it should work, where the people who are receiving the funds have to sell you on it. Like, they can't just get it. They have
Yeah.
to sell you, like, hey, this is a big deal. St. Jude's, look at all this shit we do, helping kids with cancer and all this stuff. It's all free thanks to you. If you just give, like,
Yeah.
that's what I would love to see more of that. Like, if point of sale every single time there was some kind of thing like, oh, where do you want your tax money to go? Here's an option. Do you want to go to libraries? Do you want to go to schools? Do you want to go to hospitals or the homeless or streets or something like that?
Yeah.
And that actually makes a lot of sense, because that would be what the people want. It would
Mm.
reflect what the people want automatically. Like, I don't like the idea of just some fat cat getting into government and deciding for me where my tax money, my life, is going to be spent. No,
Mm.
I want to decide that. And maybe there's something I don't know about. Sure, sell me on it. Tell me about it. You
Yeah.
know, give
The
me,
government should be lobbying the people, not the other
yes,
way around.
yes, exactly. And at
Yeah,
that
that
point,
is how it should
some
work.
people might even be willing to give more. They're like, well, okay, I'm not just going to round up or pay the sale. I'm like, oh, you add an extra dollar or two or something like that to
Yeah.
this cause you feel is really important.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean, like that's actually a good point. Like, if even if you were rich and you went to the grocery store and you were like, actually I'd like to pay like a 50% sales tax on the whole thing.
mhm.
The checker would probably be like, um, you can't, because actually, how would you? Like
Yeah,
there's
there's no
nobody's
option for
ever
that.
said that in the
Mhm.
history of things being said.
Yeah.
Probably,
Well,
like,
because of the way the system works, it's ineffectual, and it doesn't provide much of a benefit to the people. So people begrudgingly pay taxes. I would like to be I would want to pay taxes because it's the right thing to do, because I know that that money is going to benefit everybody. Like, oh, yeah, this is a big project. This thing is important. We're helping people. Like, people want to do that. We are genetically evolved to do that, to help communities, to help each other, because in helping other people, it benefits you, and it all comes back
yeah. Mhm.
eventually. And that's you have cohesion in society at that point.
Right. But that doesn't
Um,
matter when you have enough money to buy whatever you want anytime you want it.
well,
So,
but at that point, because I think about this, it's like, what if I had $1 billion? I'd be like, well, what good could I do with this? Like, okay,
exactly.
maybe I'll buy some stupid ass thing that I've always wanted, like the Lamborghini Countach. I'll buy one of those because I know it's a shitty ass car, but I want one just because the Tawny Katane poster back in the 80s. But beyond that, it's like, okay, well, whatever. I've got that. Um, well, now I want to proceed to help people, to make the world a better place. Like, I've talked about many times, like, what do you want on your tombstone?
Hmm.
Do you want to be remembered as the asshole or the hero?
Or
And
just
I've
pepperoni.
yeah, pepperoni, yeah. Cigarette. um,
Yeah,
but
I mean, like, what we were talking about earlier with, research for stuff that is clearly like kind of an easy fix for something.
mhm,
Um, Stuff like that, I would probably throw my money at if I had
yeah,
endless money. Because I would be like, look, okay, I have some scientific background. I can see
mhm,
that there's, something worth looking at here anyway. And of course, there's a bunch of propaganda pushing people away from it, squashing it, whatever. I'm
as
going to throw my
always,
money at that. you know?
As always, follow the money too.
Mm,
If you want to know why things are the way they are, follow the money. Um, yeah, it. I'd like to live in a world that's more voluntaristic, where like it isn't an extortion based system. Like the mafia comes and they demand their cut, and then they do whatever they want to do with it. All of them living high on the hog in their fancy houses while you're living in poverty. Um, and then they're demanding more and more of it. And then maybe they might maybe give you like a couple of crumbs back. But it's like,
mm,
well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I've given you so much of my life and you give me nothing, barely anything back. Like that's a problem. I'm starting to get pissed off now.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but
the other problem, like on a more fundamental philosophical level, if you will, is that tax being a percentage of the currency, like going back to like the gold standard, let's say, to keep it simple,
yeah.
you know, after so much time in circulation, a dollar could theoretically produce more than a dollar in tax revenue. So like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like the transactions drive the actual amount, let's say, of money that's out there, while
Mm-hmm.
the actual physical amount is kind of dwarfed by that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of why we broke away from the gold standard, is because at some point it became evident that like, oh shit, we're gonna run out of money just because there's too
Well,
much tax.
we have fractional reserve banking, which kind of fucked us. Um, I think a currency needs for it to be functional and to be more or less immune to abuse. It has to be finite. There has to be only so many out there. Um, but I mean, that's a whole different divergent
Yeah.
topic we could get into.
I think a couple seasons back, or maybe super far back, actually, maybe season 2 or 3, I talked about like a smart currency where it would
Mhm.
like have a little digital display of how much it was worth, and it would kind of diminish over time or something. And
Well, I would like, have you ever seen Logan's Run?
I
They
don't
had
think
like
so.
these crystals on their hands that would, interesting movie. But
Hmm.
imagine if you had something that showed your life force, essentially.
Yeah.
It's very bright when you're young and it starts diminishing. And over time, it gets darker and darker and darker as you near death, essentially. So that means that your every day becomes much more valuable as you get older. You have a lot more days to spend when you're young.
Hmm.
And but we need some kind of visual thing, I think, for where people should maybe think about it in that regard. That like, hey, we're only here for so long. Why would I want all that time that I spent working and stuff, and then they like hoover up a bunch of that and then do some stuff? I want it to be good stuff, right? Like, I don't want it to be bullshit. What, painting stripes on the fucking road or whatever? Like, wow, that's awesome. That's what I want my legacy to be. Is yeah, I worked at McDonald's, paid taxes, and da da da. And there's some new paint on the road. There's an intersection that got updated. They changed that one thing to a roundabout. That's it. Or we
Go
went
to
to war.
hell.
Yeah. Or like, oh yeah, all that money that's being pulled out of me is like my life force is being used to extinguish life in other places.
Mm.
That's kind of bullshit too. And people don't seem to think about things in that kind of context. But I think we should. It would make like we'd care a lot more, I think, about what's going on and who is at the helm and what they're doing, if we looked at it from the context of like, yeah, they're taking my life. They're basically shaving days off of my existence over and over and over again. And then they're turning that, converting it into destruction and death and not benefiting people. Like I look around and I see things not improving. Like we're paying more money than we ever have, and yet things are not getting better.
Yeah. They're just sitting there in their fucking government positions going,
Yep.
Go
Yeah.
essence.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, because at the end of the day, there's no consequences. Like, if they do stupid things or even heinous things, there's basically no consequences. Like, there ought to be consequences. Every city should have a guillotine at the city center with fucking cameras there. And to remind the so-called leaders that, like, hey, if you fuck up, that's where you're going. And it's going to be live streamed too. It'll be a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But maybe we need that.
Or like exploding collars or
exploding collars. Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
If your daily vote tally gets too low,
the State of the Union address, it's like, well, I promised it and everything's a head blows off. Like, all right, well, on to the next. But maybe that's what we need. I don't know. I don't think that violence is the answer, but how do you dig yourself out of the hole that we're in?
Right.
I don't know. It might require that.
Yeah.
Something akin to the French Revolution, maybe.
Right. I mean, violence becomes the answer when like common sense has kind of reached its wit's end, like
common sense has left the chat.
Yeah. You try diplomacy, you try having your voice be heard in some way, protests or whatever. And then if they start squashing protests, killing protesters, whatever, it's probably time for bloody revolution, like.
Well, and going back to the Federalist Papers and the founding of this country, of the US, like that was expected. They absolutely expected that. That's why the Second Amendment is there. Like they wholly expected, like, okay, well, eventually it's going to get corrupted and people are going to get fed up and they're going to take up arms and they're going to march down to the center of power and they're going to kill everybody and stop it and start over again. But we haven't done that. It's 250 years for the US and we haven't ever done that. Well, Civil War, I guess, kind of.
I mean, they didn't look far enough down the chessboard to see that, like a two-party system would evolve and be able to manipulate the public.
Actually, they did. They foresaw that. But yeah, anyway.
But yeah, I mean, like, well, they didn't do anything to stop it, clearly. Like,
no, there should have been things
predicted it, but they weren't like, you know what, it's probably fine if that happens,
There should have been things put in place to
exactly.
mitigate
That's what
that.
I'm saying. Like, because what we end up with is like, the Second Amendment's there, but while bad shit is happening, it happens to be like the party that favors the Second Amendment that's doing the bad things. So they're all like, yeah, go team. And, nothing happens then, like
that's true.
No revolution happens.
But there should be, I think, at the end of the day. And maybe that would be the precipice, I suppose, that we'd jump off of to kind of go to like balkanization, and break things apart a little bit, have a reset. I think there should be a reset.
Well, okay, that's the thing. With balkanization, going back to what we were talking about a little earlier, how all the other countries have to kind of recognize you as a sovereign state or country or whatever, right? Why? I mean, what's to stop that? like a small community from just petitioning every other country in the world to be like, hey, we want to be a teeny tiny, I mean, there are teeny tiny countries,
Mm-hmm.
probably about the size of a fucking community in the US.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what's the difference? Like all it would
Well,
take is just actually collapsing the union in the first place. Like
mm-hmm.
that has to, of course, precede all of that. But once it
That's true.
does, that's the opportunity to do it correctly. Like
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with things being under one umbrella, right? Like, oh, the United States. But the structure that we have right now
mhm,
is not built to be a benefactor to the public at large.
yeah,
It's to benefit the elites.
yeah.
Look, just look at it. That is exactly what it's there for.
But if we
Like,
just default to another version of that thing, it'll start off corrupted
I know. Yeah.
because that's just like the system that everyone's used to with their whole lifeblood, their generations, like their history, everything. They'd be like, oh, well, this is just the way it's going to have to be in the future. We'll just give it a new name and everything will be better then. Right.
It's like the Thradash in Star Control 2, Culture 20. Um, Culture 19 was, they're a bunch of idiots, but our Culture 20 is so much better, even though it's exactly the same as Culture 19. Um, Good game, by the way. That's my game recommendation. Star Control 2. Amazing game. I actually got so sucked into that back in like 92, I think. Like it was almost like it took my mind over to the point where I like felt like I was living in that world.
Oh, wow.
It's a really good game.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, um, yeah, I think one of the problems that we have to contend with when it comes to solving issues with the system is people.
Yeah.
The people are unwilling to sacrifice a little bit in the short term for a long-term benefit. That everything is here and now, um, instant satisfaction. And if there's a moment where you're unhappy or uncomfortable, well, that won't fly. But like, it's objectively not improving. Things are getting
Yeah.
worse.
There
Uh,
is no instant satisfaction when it comes to the government, though.
no,
Like,
no,
so,
exactly.
so I don't understand what people are like so complacent about that. Like,
Wow. And maybe also it's recognition that there's even a problem to begin with. Um, like AA, they're like, oh, you get up there and tell all the people like, and my name is Eric Rosenblatt and I'm an alcoholic. Like it takes that to like you have to get to that point um, before you can proceed to move forward. And I think a lot of people don't recognize how corrupt and how bad things are, and not just how bad they are, but how bad they could be based on the structure of things. That, like, hey, we're in a place now where all it'll take is a couple of dominoes to fall in just the right way, and it's fucked. That's
yeah,
it. It's game over. And people, they've got their bread and circus,
mhm.
so they're content. And so motivating people to do anything is problematic, I think.
Except for motivating them to vote. That
They'll get
everyone's
out and
just like,
vote.
well, let's, I guess, vote, and that'll change everything. You know, oh
to,
shit, people didn't vote the way I wanted. Oh
yeah.
well, I'll just vote next time.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
you
I've done my part.
just keep like delaying the inevitable, which is, of course, your death, where you die in however many years and nothing has ever changed. Like so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Well, it's
yeah.
like
There's, yeah, there's
the
really no point
definition
in
of
participating in that
insanity
system.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like people keep. My brother sent me a video years ago that had like every presidential candidate's ad from like the 60s to the 90s or maybe into the 2000s, and they literally all said the same shit. Like, I'm going to fix this thing, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that. And it's like, you look, this is 50 fucking years. And they keep saying they're going to do these things, and nobody's ever done it. You know? So why even bother? Why bother to vote?
Good question.
That's kind of my take on it. It's like, the, and there's a lot of people to give me flack over that too. Like, oh, well, you don't vote. That's why things are the way they are. I'm like, no, they're the way they are because it's by design. Um, I'm just disillusioned. I don't vote. What I put my voting energy into is the community. It's like helping individuals local to me, like affecting change that I actually can affect. Like, I'm not going to pray to some fucking political god expecting a miracle. No, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to change the world in as much as I can. And if everybody did that, we wouldn't need this political system. The world would be so much more vastly improved.
Right. Well, like going back to something I said earlier, or perhaps in Lightning Strikes Twice, the problem is people's attitudes and misguided thoughts about how voting works.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't complain if you don't vote. Okay, I voted, but it didn't go the way I wanted, so I'm going to complain. Wow, well, that's just how democracy works, And it's like, well, then if you're like, I'm not voting because of this, and then somebody's like, well, you're the problem. And it's like, okay, say I did vote, I would vote for a third party. And then they'd be
Yep.
like, well, third party, you're just throwing your vote away because it goes to the other guy. And it's like, how many fucking fallacies of thought can a person have about a thing that is so simple? You have one say what your opinion is, what you want it to go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets counted, and they add those up, and whoever gets the most wins. It's pretty simple, but they put all this fucking extra rhetoric on it. Like,
Yep.
like
Mm-hmm. It's
how
all
does
the
a third
fallacies, by
party
the way.
vote that goes to a third person, even
Mm-hmm.
though there's always more than two? Like, you always
Yeah.
have more than one or two choices. Like, it's
Well, and when it comes to solving problems, there's always more than only two options. Unless
yeah,
you're coding in binary, I guess, then
yeah.
you're kind of
Like,
stuck in that way.
I did a whole minute microscopy about this with visual aids and everything about how the
Mhm.
math like fundamentally works. Like when you cast a vote for uh who was the dude that kept running third party for so many years? Um I forgot
Where
his name. For president, like almost every time. Well, whatever his name
you
was.
know.
um Say you cast a vote for him, like it doesn't automatically add a vote to the other guy, right? Like,
Hmm.
when it was Clinton versus Trump, I think that was around the time I did that video. And I was like, so if you just like write in a vote for Bernie Sanders, it doesn't just add one to Trump, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like
exactly.
that math doesn't work. Even if there were somebody deciding, like, oh, this vote goes to a third party, we better add it to one of these other two. Which one of the? How do you know who they're going to add it to? But that's not happening. Like,
Well,
I'm just
and
saying, even if that were how it worked, how the fuck would they? Like,
hmm
if you think that's happening, you're already not in a democracy.
hmm
Bad news.
yeah, we don't have a democracy, or a republic. Um, as what was it? Benjamin Franklin famously said, "A republic, if you can keep it." Um,
Hmm.
when asked what form of government had been created, um, yeah, I think the problem is that we get so caught up in this idea that I guess it's almost kind of a tragedy of the commons sort of thing, where we pass off responsibility to do things onto other people. So we're like, well, I check a checkbox, and I guess that's that, right? When no, the responsibility lies with you. You yourself are the one tasked with doing things, bettering humanity, improving stuff, helping people, fixing problems. Like, we can do those things ourselves. We don't need a bunch of ivory tower assholes to, like, these fucking corporate bigwigs, the elites, to tell us what to do, to be able to figure out what to do. Like,
Yeah.
we're on the ground. We're the foot soldiers. We can look and we can be like, oh yeah, there's a fucking fire burning over there. What do? Should we just scream that somebody else should put it out? No. Grab a bucket and go put the fire out. Like, there's a fire. It's that
Yeah.
simple. And like, this is the thing that I detest about the democratic system, is how it overcomplicates something that's very simple. It, like, we all can recognize things like, oh yeah, you drive down that one road, there's a tent city, there's a bunch of homeless people, there's a bunch of drug addicts running around, crime, like whatever, there's bad roads or something. Like, all right, well, human beings are the ones who built those things or fix those things. Like, the politicians would just simply direct other human beings to do the things that we could just do if they didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, we could just do it. Why ask permission? I guess that's my question.
I'm really liking your idea that you brought up earlier with this kind of like running tally of votes and how that really would make a lot of sense. It would actually fix voter fraud too, if you think about it, because if you think maybe your vote was changed, you just go each day and re-up it just to make sure that your vote is going where you want it to. Like, you can vote as many times a day as you want, actually, in a system like that, and you don't have to vote, but at any point you can decide, okay, yeah, I will vote. And then as long as you don't change that vote, it stays, So like, the complacency is only as good as your complacency lasts for, like, as soon as you get pissed off, you can go fucking change it.
Yeah, exactly. You retract your vote.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Like, and if you think about like that saying, like, the tyranny of majority, it's really a tyranny of minority. Like, the people actually calling the shots are very few of them, like the oligarchy, and the people that are actually voting to put the people in place that choose those people, or let's say take money from those people.
Yeah,
that's all minority. Like,
it is. Yeah.
If I actually believe that if the country, if the whole world were operating 100% on a real-time democracy like that, it would actually be better, because most people want good for others. They want good for them, and what's good for them is often good for others.
Oh yeah, it all comes back around. Absolutely.
And people, like, when you see that things suck, of course, if your voice is actually being heard in real time, it can change the course of that.
Well, and it holds the people who are controlling the reins accountable for their decisions.
Yeah.
Well, and to go back to my fire analogy, it's like, okay, if I see a neighbor's house on fire, I could choose to do nothing, but you know what? It's in my own self-interest to go help, because, well, if that fire spreads, it's going to burn my house down too, So like that, and everything, like, whether it be roads or crime or whatever, like, it's every bit that we can improve things improves it comes back to you like a boomerang.
Mm.
um, that show is great. Um,
Yeah,
70s
my
show.
my dad always told me when he was growing up out at the lake there, you know, before there were that many people there, they didn't have a fire department, so there would just be an alarm that
Mm-hmm.
would sound across the lake. You'd look for the smoke, and everyone would just bring their buckets
Yeah.
and go there and make a little bucket brigade from the lake all the way
Yep.
up, passing buckets
Mm-hmm.
all the way up the hill and douse the fire. And
Well, because even if you look at like an isolated example of one particular fire at one particular property, um, sure, does it make sense for you to give of yourself to put the fire out? Like, well, okay, well, you could technically not do that. However, if you did not do that and enough people didn't do that, then when your house is on fire, then there's not going to be enough people to help put that out.
yeah,
So everybody has to come together as a community. Um, and like there's a complacency that we have where like I was saying, the tragedy of the commons kind of thing. Like, well, somebody else will take care of it, right? Well, I pay my taxes, the government, I vote, da da da. They have all these like organizations and employees and stuff, and they do these things. So why should I do any more?
mm,
And I'd like to see that go away. I want that. I want there to be no safety net so that people are like, they're like, oh shit, you know, I better prepare. Um, I better help other people because when I'm in need, I want those people to remember that I helped them that one time. So they come and help me. Like that's how we used to operate as a culture. Um, oh, we have a comment from Old Rat. I used to be a helper, but now if you help, you can get sued. It kills me, but now I walk away. I, I know
that's tragic.
it is.
Here in Germany, it's the opposite. Like if you leave an area where someone is in distress, you can actually get in trouble for that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had to take a first aid class just to transfer my driver's license to a German driver's license. So like they try to make sure that everyone is kind of like prepared and knows at least a little bit what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like people do help each other a lot. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you can build a culture like that. Like the US is a very litigious society, like
Mm-hmm.
it's all built around, and of course all this comes back to profit and
And the
make more
government.
money, like
Yep.
just like personal greed, even like at that level,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sad.
It is. And I watch a lot of body cam, dash cam videos and stuff like that, and also just the dash cam compilations. And one thing I noticed is in Russia, of all places, if there's like an accident or somebody slides off the road in the snow and flips over, everybody stops to help.
Hmm.
Um, because they're going like back in the Soviet era, you could call the cops and good luck. The cops might show up, they might not, who knows? So the people had to take it upon themselves to help each other. So it's like it's ingrained in the culture. It's like, oh, somebody needs help. Okay, I'll pull over and help them. Like fucking car goes off the road, there was an accident or something like that. But if you look in the US, people just drive by. Because like I said, I watch all these body cam, dash cam videos, and there would be a badass car accident, and just people keep on driving. Hardly anybody pulls over. Nobody stops to help. It's like it looks like a fatal accident, which seconds count at that point. So if you're not helping, um, well, that person's probably going to die. But they're just like, oh, whatever,
Hmm.
and I don't.
And
Mm,
yeah, like, and profit also seeps into the health system and stuff. Like if you need an ambulance ride in the US,
oh,
over 1,000 easy.
yeah, yeah.
I took an ambulance a couple weeks ago when I had that pain in my liver, and I got a bill a few days ago, and I was like, oh shit. You know, being an American, I was like, oh shit, this must be the ambulance bill, 20 euros. Yeah.
That's what it
like,
ought to be.
I'm like, oh wow, okay.
It should be like a taxi ride.
Yeah. It's actually €5 more than a taxi ride would be.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I wanted to just
Not
take a
bad.
taxi, I'd only save five, you know? So, okay, I'll just go with the professionals, you know?
Yeah, well, and that's something that we should be asking ourselves. Why is it so much money in the US? Or like, why do these problems exist in the first place? Um, and follow the money, of course.
Yeah.
I always say that. Follow the money, and your answers will be revealed to you. Because it always comes down to that.
Yeah.
And like, and that pisses me off because I want to see a world like you and I, Casey, have talked about this for years that we technically live in a post-scarcity world.
Yeah.
There's no reason that things ought to be super expensive. There's no reason that things ought to be unavailable. Um, we can make all these things that like whatever it is. There's no problem that we can't solve. Like we have the answers, but just nobody wants to do it.
Right.
For some reason.
Profit or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Is often the driving force. You know,
Well, but
like
there's
it's as if the whole concept of innovation is exclusive to profit, and that's not true. You know,
no, you're correct there. Yeah, it is not. Well, because there's
it's one
another
driving
profit.
factor. It doesn't have to be the only one. You know,
There,
like
there's another profit that you can't calculate, and that's the feeling you get from doing good, helping people. That like that's incalculable. Like,
yeah,
and I would love to see a world where it's more that profit is more the focus than monetary profit. That like your own personal
yeah.
satisfaction and that that the ticks on your gravestone of all the good deeds you've done throughout your life.
Like that one commercial series where I ignore commercials for the most part, so I don't even remember what it was commercial for, but they were like such and such $30 and this and that priceless. You know, like it's actually a good way of looking at.
Wasn't that like a Discover card ad?
Maybe,
I think it was. Yeah.
but
It,
like the underlying theme there was that like what you do with your money can have like a larger incalculable impact on
yeah,
yourself
absolutely.
and other people. So um there's truth in that. And
There is. Yeah,
it's a good
absolutely.
message.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well,
Well,
you have any other thoughts? I made a tiramisu this afternoon that might be ready now, so
oh, nice. Nice.
mouth is watering.
Makes my mouth water.
Tastes like it's got butter inside.
Australian toaster biscuits.
I miss those commercials.
Oh, those are great.
I just got done talking about how I ignore commercials, but man, I love those.
Oh yeah, those are good. Well, a good commercial is priceless.
They
Like,
taste great.
oh, good times.
It was just a bunch of kids with an accent, and it was awesome.
Yep. I can't find those around
No, they stopped
in
making
my
them. I'm
area.
so sad too. They were so like mouth watering
They
and
oh they were so
soft and buttery.
well. Then I
And
have the air fryer now, so it's like, man, an Australian toaster biscuit with some ham and cheese
oh
in there.
man,
Oh my god, a little bit of butter.
I can still
Ugh.
taste it. I can still
Yeah,
taste
I know.
it.
Ugh.
And it tastes like it's got butter inside.
Well, I mean, I think we covered quite a bit. I just, I don't know. I'm just disillusioned with the entire system because they keep it's like pillow talk. They keep telling you, oh, you vote for me and I'll do this thing and da da da. And then they don't. And then they do the exact opposite over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an abusive relationship. Like, oh, yeah, your partner or whatever, they were
Hey,
great.
old rat. Thanks for joining.
Oh, hey, see you later. Um, but they keep, it's like you have this relationship and it seems great and your partner's awesome. And then, I don't know, they have some mental health episode or whatever, and they start getting angry and they beat your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, oh, I'm never going to do that again. And then you keep coming back and they keep beating your ass and you keep coming back and they keep beating your ass. And they always say, oh, I'm never going to do that again. I promise. But then they beat your ass again. Like, at what point do we say, okay, it's time to leave this house? It's time to leave. Like, this relationship is caustic. It's harmful. And that's how I see government. That's how I see democracy. That's how I see the republic. Like, it is not, it has strayed so far from the original vector to the point where it's actually going the opposite direction. Like, it is not doing beneficial things, it's doing harmful things over and over and over again. And then it's like, hey, well, you just vote for this person and then we'll fix the things that we fucked up earlier. Like, well, wait a minute. And then they fuck it up even more. And then they're like, well, it'll be better this time. I promise. I'm never going to do it again. I promise. Like, no, you know what? I don't think so. I think I'm done. I'm going to do what I can do myself. And I encourage everybody else to do what they can do themselves. Like, everybody can help a little bit. Like, you don't need to spend money to help people, to help an old lady cross the street. Like, whatever, help somebody that's got a flat tire or something.
Yeah.
Done that countless times. I mean, that's why I have all the tools that I have. Like,
If your hammer breaks in half, you can't use one end of the hammer to nail itself back together. You know?
this is true. Yeah.
So
That's a really good analogy, actually. Yep.
yeah.
And we're at that point, I think.
Yeah.
And like, not to say I don't want to all doom and gloom, like everything's terrible, because it isn't. Like, there's a lot of awesome things out there, but there's a lot of shitty things. Like, why can't we fix that? Well, it's like, it's super easy. We just simply don't do the things that are making it shitty. it's it's so simple.
No, it's been a long time since we made a commercial,
Uh,
but we should totally make like a floppy hammer commercial. The hammer that fixes itself. Like, you can just bend it around and like put a nail into itself.
oh man.
But then you use it for like a regular hammer and it's like
oh yeah. Yeah. So the only function of the hammer is to fix the hammer. That's government in a nutshell,
mm-hmm.
honestly. Like, it doesn't work as a hammer, but it works good at fixing its own self to be a hammer or to look like one. Here's my ad recommendation for the day. There's I think the Norwegian government released an ad about enshittification. And it is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in a long time. It follows, it's sort of like almost like a documentary sort of thing. Like, it's following an enshittificator, like a professional enshittificator.
Okay.
And talking about how, like, there's things that are good and then his job is to make it not good, to make it shitty. And like, they say shit. It's like,
Oh yeah.
that's awesome, dude. Yeah, my people.
Yeah, I love watching TV here in Germany, or They just like casually say fuck all the
Yeah,
time. It's like,
and that should be okay.
yeah,
Well, and it's weird too. Like the FCC probably ought to go away. Well, no, maybe not. Because again, like as an anarchist, I always try to figure out how you can manage things in the absence of government. And like something like the FAA, the FCC, like we do need something to kind of coordinate like what frequencies are allocated to where and keep people from being dickheads, and just breaking into private communications and stuff. And obviously, if you're flying planes around, like, well, there's got to be somebody like keeping an eye on all the planes flying so they don't hit each other. Like it makes sense. But like all this stupid ass rules about language and stuff, like you ought to be able to drop F bombs in the middle of the day on ABC.
yeah,
But why not? Like the kids are doing it anyway,
right.
right? Like what
But the kids,
yeah, we're oh yeah, that's always the argument, isn't it? But like you go to any middle school and you go to recess and hide in the shadows and listen to the kids, and they're saying fuck, they're saying cunt, they're saying everything all day long. And like, so what what's the point of not just having that on TV? We're pretending as if like, oh, we're Puritans and stuff.
yeah,
The hell we are. Like, no, we drop F bombs all the time. We're
yeah.
dirty motherfuckers.
Nobody bats an eye when a kid here in Germany says "Ach du Scheiße," like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you're
Yeah.
shitting me, like
Yeah.
it's just a thing, like
Yeah.
everybody says it. Oh
Well, yeah,
man,
exactly. Oh,
yeah.
man.
Well, I guess that's probably a good place to wrap up.
Yeah, my bladder's telling me it is.
My
Yeah.
tiramisu is waiting for me.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Homemade tiramisu. That's way to go.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Thanks for the comments, everybody. And thanks for watching, as always. And we'll be back next week with another new topic of conversation, which will probably end up sort of blending with this because we always sort of we have an angle, all right. Like we've got an angle, so it'll always be colored with that. But yeah, we'll probably have something new and interesting. Who knows? Maybe it'll be nuclear war, World War III, and we'll be all like bunkering in and trying to stream or something like that. Actually, that'd be kind of interesting. Um, Nuclear war is not actually that bad, by the way. Um, just saying. Depends. Air burst versus ground burst. Look it up. Um, um,
All right.
yeah.
Well, same kitchen sink time, same kitchen sink channel.
Oh, yeah.